And that's when I told my students that pollen is plant sperm.
Okay, yes, that's right. We're back. That's right. Don't adjust your camera. We're back and we're live in person.
From the windows to the walls.
Never could have guessed that that's where that was going to go. Welcome, everybody, back to season 8 of the UnDisrupted Podcast by Adam and Carl. Adam and Carl coming to you live. We're not AI. This is us. This is a real us. And we're actually in the same room. Had to make sure that he's a real person. He is. I'm a real person, I think, sometimes. What you been up to, Adam? Anything interesting happening in your life lately?
Yeah.
That you want the listeners to know about?
There's been a few life changes that's happened this calendar year. I was diagnosed with gallbladder cancer in January. So I've been going through that, had a major operation, surgery, gallbladder removed, and all that fun stuff. Recuperating from that, and now I'm starting my rounds of chemotherapy treatment right now. So salute to everyone out here listening who has ever gone through cancer, who has a family member who's gone through this. You're definitely deep in my heart. This is definitely something that I'm going through. But you know what, Carl, makes it a whole lot more bearable. My family and great friends like you.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, there's a lot of people that reach out to you, and I know you and I've talked a lot over the last several weeks and months, and I'm learning a lot about this too from you. Mm-hmm. You share a lot on social too, which I think is great. Tell me a little bit about that. Why I see you on the TikToks sharing little snippets of things. Like yesterday, you had, I think it was your third treatment, right?
Third treatment.
Yep. And so sharing again what that feels like, what that process is like. Talk about that and why you're choosing to share.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, as I started going through the process, people were like, "Adam, you have a voice. You should utilize it in this space whenever you're comfortable talking about it." And as I started looking online for other people that were going through cancer, I didn't really see that many people that looked like me that had a voice like mine telling it the way that I could.
Yeah.
And so I felt as though there was a void that was out there. And also it's therapy to me sometimes, just sharing with people what's going on with me. And believe it or not, my wife has greatly appreciated it because people have stopped asking her, "How's Adam doing?" She's like, "Well, you just follow him on TikTok and he will have an update, or on Facebook, he'll put it in his reel and you can see what's going on with him." So it's helped the wife out because she hasn't had to answer any questions. So I think that's probably the number one reason why I'm doing it, to help her out.
And I bond with Christina on this because as your work husband, wife, I don't know what I am, partner in rhyme.
There we go.
Yeah, when we went, I think right when it was FETC is really where I went to that, and it's like, I keep looking at you on the camera, forgetting that you're like sitting right next to me.
Like weird.
Yeah. And that was when people started doing it. The first asking me about you, and I felt like I had at least 20 different people come up and ask me about you, and then. So I was grateful that you started sharing stuff too, because I guess people are like, okay, he's talking about it. And I didn't know what to say because at the time you weren't even sure. We were kind of like, what's going on? You were waiting for some tests to get back. Mm-hmm. You knew it was cancer, but you didn't know what kind of cancer it was. And we were talking about that. So for me, it was really interesting to have people come up and it's like, how's Adam doing? And I'm like, and I'm doing okay too, but you know what? No. And it was... But it tells me that a lot of people care about you too, which was good.
But here's the crazy thing about it, because this happened like January 5th, and FETC was
the 23rd or 5th. Yeah.
And so one of the things in the hospital, after I was asking, was I going to be okay and all this stuff, I was asking the doctors, would it be safe for me to fly down to Orlando to go to the conference and still it was still in the forefront of my mind, because part of me was thinking that, hey, this is just a one time deal, sure. Surgery, stitch me up, and I'll be good to go. But that was not the case. It was a whole lot more than that going on with me, other than just.
Oh wow, the ring! This is awesome. I wonder if it's a Jehovah's Witness. No, we're not going to share that story. No. That's for an after hours podcast that we are working on at some point. But yeah, that's funny that we got the ring that someone's at the front door kind of came everywhere. This is good.
But it's one of those things that's kind of funny. Like going through this process is really giving me a time to stop and think about different things that are going on and what's important, what's not important, and really getting a chance to see the different people that are out there and being able to reconnect. I've been able to reconnect with a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a while. So people from high school, college, ed tech conferences. So one thing I do want to say, take a few moments to on this podcast, thank everybody who's reached out to me. We're doing good. I'm doing good. I keep saying we got this because my last treatment is scheduled for the middle of June, and my goal is to be in person at ISTE Live.
You heard it here first, folks. We're gonna hope.
I'll be at ISTE Live.
let's get Adam. Let's free Adam. We're gonna have the hashtag free Adam. We're gonna wear his t-shirts at ISTE. We're gonna get you out there. I can attest he's got his Foozy socks on, which are good. Got to have the Foozy socks. Keep your feet warm.
Can I get out? Yeah, there we go.
They don't care about the feet. You know what they care about? They want to make sure that the hands are still.
The hands are okay.
I can confirm they look amazing from here too. I usually see them through a screen, so I'm a little jealous. I'm gonna kind of stay away a little bit. But
so Carl, let me switch gears a little bit.
What's going on?
And let's talk about the thing that we knew was going to be a big deal last year as it started going, and it's taking on a mind of its own. AI.
Yeah, it's I don't think we even could predict how big it's blown up. I think we started. It might have been the end of season 6. I think we started talking about, because I think ChatGPT came out in November of 22. We're wrapping up season 6, and we're like, oh, and we started talking about it a little bit. We had some people mention it, but it was like funny at the beginning of it. Everybody's like AI. They equated it with ChatGPT, and they just assumed the two are the same. And now we're starting to see that it's a lot more expansive than that. There's been legislation. There's been states, I think 6 states now that have passed some sort of policy around it. I just left Utah, which is working on an AI credential for teachers, which is really interesting. What is your thought on that? Like that you can be credentialed as an AI. I mean, there's so much that still, anyone who says they're an expert, I always say no one's an AI expert, except for maybe like Sam Altman, who invented ChatGPT. But otherwise, I don't know. It's tricky. I feel like I've lived all this before. It was the iPad 1-to-1. It was 2011, and the App Store is there. And it's all coming back to me now. It's like let's figure out what apps work out for this or what AI works out for this. It's like we started all over again.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think anyone is an expert on this stuff right now, unfortunately. But a lot of people are claiming that they're experts. So when this first started and everybody was, having a workshop or a session or whatever, a lot of things people are talking about now or sharing now is the tool. They're sharing a tool, or they're sharing a way to utilize the tool. Yep. No one's really an expert. And that's the scary part, that people are getting up and they're claiming to be experts, or they're not giving the disclaimer, I should say, that they're not an expert. They're not saying they're an expert. They're not giving a disclaimer that they're not an expert. They just have some really great ideas that they want to share, which is perfectly fine. I'm all for that. But when you get individuals in power that believe that they heard it from an expert, then they start creating policy based on what this person that's a expert said to them. Now you're shaping policy within school systems, within teaching and learning. That's where my problem kind of lies, because we don't know what we don't know as it pertains to AI. Even the whole concept of original thought, original work, because now every product has AI in it. I saw a story about a college student getting suspended or something for using Grammarly, because Grammarly has it, but now it has AI in there, and so it got popped for using AI in the writing.
I think that's the other thing. It's like it's this ebb and flow of all of it, and in our industry, especially in ed tech, there's always people that claim to be experts that may not be, and with AI, because it's so new, it's so tricky. I wrote a book on it. I think since the last season, I think I've written that book, in the Learning Evolution book. And people are like, how can you write it? Did you let AI write the book for you? And I was like, no, I mean, I do know some people that have done that. But for me, it was because of all the interviews that you and I had done over the last year leading up to it, plus my other podcasts that I don't want to mention in front of you because I know you get jealous, but it's
shame.
I committed podultery. I'm so sorry. But it was because of the interviews, and then also working with teachers. Like, I've got so much great information made to me. I want to put that out there for the world. So really the book is a reflection on that. So in that sense, I'm not an expert. I'm just kind of passing along information from lots of other kind of sort of quote unquote experts or talking heads. But in this case, I think it's going to be interesting because you're right. We're at the tool phase now, which is like what are some cool things it can do? It can make a lesson plan. It can help write an IEP. Don't put student data in it. And then at some point, will it transform learning? I think it could. We also thought cell phones could.
Right.
We thought social media might help. We've kind of fallen back on all those smart boards. You remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
But once we get the AI really baked into being that thought partner to handle the work that most people don't have the degrees or the aptitude to handle. For example, and I think I may have shared this before, centralized registration or scheduling, the scheduling issues that schools have all the time.
Yes.
Imagine having an algorithm or the AI to know that based on data, we know that Carl learns math better in the afternoon. So we're going to make sure that out of the 4,000 students that go to this high school, they get the course during the best time of their day for learning, and ensure that even to the teachers, knowing that teacher Adam does a better job teaching in the afternoon than in the morning, because his data has shown us this. So we're going to ensure that he's teaching these courses in the afternoon versus teaching them in the morning, because he's a better, higher level math teacher in the afternoon than in the morning. His brain, so we can have Adam teaching algebra in the morning, but in the afternoon, he's going to be teaching calculus.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you can totally do that. I think you went a totally different direction than I thought you were going to, because at first I was like, just scheduling in general. I was thinking about the high school where I was, at Westlake, we had 3,500 kids, and you had the principal and the APs. They get together for like 2 weeks over the summer, and all they do is they put these little things around
the magnetic board.
The magnetic boards, yeah. And then you see the ads like for the NFL, like just recently, the NFL runs a lot of ads with Microsoft and stuff about how they're using AI to help do 5 billion permutations of the schedule to make sure that it lines up. And their schedule was rock solid this last year. I mean, you had great teams playing at the right time of year, and like you're saying, kind of, I guess you're just taking that to the next level. Someone out there listening to this is going to do that and then make $1 billion off of it. Make sure you credit this man right here.
I mean, it's recorded, so I'm pretty sure there's some kind of like
Elon. Are you listening? Okay,
of course he is.
Are you worried at all that the chemo is Elon's microchips going in your body? Or
it could be. It could be.
It's a long play for him because you've been picking on him for so many years.
Yeah, he's playing the long game here.
Yeah, yes.
Imagine how many times have you ever heard somebody having gallbladder cancer? You don't hear about that.
You don't. I think he's got something there.
What? I want to see my gallbladder when they took it out. If there's an X stamped on it somewhere, I know what happened there.
Did they let you save that? Is it back here in the office somewhere? Can I look for it? Sorry, folks. We're getting off the rails. Although I am very distracted by all the amazing stuff, because I always see it like in the camera, but the fact that I can go back here and actually kind of play with his toys, came out.
No. So let me throw this one at you. So with AI everywhere, let me ask you this. Do you think that we are getting close to a burnout in education about hearing AI, or is it just because we're in the space, we're getting burned out, but the average educator is not burned out about hearing about AI?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think you're right. I think we're probably getting close. Like, we joke about it now every time that we're like, even last season, we said, every time we said it in the podcast, we're like, Drake, and then I was at a USET this last week in Salt Lake City, great event. And Richard Culata, who we know, ISTE CEO was a keynote. And he even said, he's like, I'm like culturally, or he said he was contractually obligated to say AI within the first 10 minutes, which is something you and I have talked about before. And it's funny, the crowd kind of laughs at it. And my sessions that are AI sessions were full. I mean, so I think for the normal educator, I think they're still excited about it. Burnout, maybe by fall. Right. I think we're still in the hype cycle.
Yeah.
I saw Ken Shelton, friend of the podcast, Ken Shelton. We've had him on several times. And he said, he says we're still accelerating in his mind. I said, yeah, maybe by the fall we'll flat. And then there's going to be that, what does they call it after the hype cycle? There's like the zone of disillusionment that'll happen with social media, happen with cell phones in the school.
Like the .com boom.
.com and then bubble burst. And now it's the .ai burst. And I think we're getting close. I don't know. Again, maybe because we're so tapped into the space.
But it seems like every website I go to, AI is on there. I mean, I was on LinkedIn the other day, and I saw like there's an AI button to summarize the post that somebody had. So instead of reading the article, I could hit the AI, and it would give me a summary of the article that somebody has.
I haven't clicked on that yet. You're right. It's like now on all the websites, you start seeing it floating at the top. Try the beta AI, whatever. I think it's like I've called it the keto diet of education and technology, right? Because you go to these conferences and you see it. At FETC, it was the same way. You're walking around, and sure enough, there's like everything's now with AI. One of them was a microphone. It was a cue ball. The thing where you throw the ball, Mike.
What AI did it?
I think it's got AI that helps it to know when it's flying through the air, and I don't know. But it's funny because you could tell from the side, and I don't know the cue ball folks. Sorry if you're listening to this. I'm not trying to pick on you, but there was definitely a big banner, and then they slapped on a giant sticker that says "Now with AI," which I thought, okay, here. So I think we're at that stage of like everyone's gonna make sure they have AI. By the way, they've all had them in their products in some form or another, but not generative AI, I guess.
Yeah, but I saw some of it they were talking about before, the microphones, like you see like in your AirPods or in your Beats or whatever, where the machine learns your voice. So it learns your voice, and as the more you use it, the more it learns to filter out background noises. So it becomes trained to hear that sound, and then to maximize that sound and minimize all other sounds around it. And it continues to learn the more you use it, what you sound like, and when you're talking and when you're not talking. or letting you know whether or not you need to elevate your tone because of the background noises. I'm like, okay, that's a cool
That's
little
somewhat useful. Yeah.
feature.
And speaking of voice, I should probably go ahead and admit now that I cloned your voice. I think you know this already, but at the FETC session,
Yes.
we had a session that we were supposed to do. Adam, it was the Battle of the Podcast. It was against Jerry Kimball and Jamie Safanero from the Live with LinkedIn.
Linked Up Learning.
Linked Up Learning. Sorry, ladies.
Linked Up Learning.
But we're supposed to do a battle, and Adam, of course, couldn't come because cancer. Yeah. And so
because cancer.
And so I made an AI version of you, used your voice from our podcast, and it got pretty close. And then had an image of you. The last one was the baby version of you, which I thought was the best one. But it's almost like as I was doing that, it was actually picking up your cadence better. Like the first couple ones, it's a little robotic, and now it's picking it better. Now I try to use it to actually do the audio version of my book. Because I thought, I'll just upload the whole book and have an audio book done in 15 minutes with my voice. No, it does not sound good. It's 2 or 3 sentences is good, but anything over that, it sounds it's like all of a sudden I'll be talking and my voice will go really high for no reason. And, I hear about the voice cloning thing now where people are worried that it's like someone's going to call up and say, hey, it sounds like your daughter telling you that she's been kidnapped. Have you seen that? Is this just the next iteration of like the scare tactics on Facebook? Copy paste and tell Mark Zuckerberg that he's not allowed to use my information. Have you seen those going around?
but so here's the thing now, Carl, I'm going to ask you, as AI changes and becomes so freely and readily available, how does that change when you start talking about digital citizenship and in the classroom? Because before we were all worried about, hey kids, it's not okay to take somebody else's work and put your name on it. But now you could do this whole AI thing, and as you mentioned, you could spoof. What they call
parody.
It? Like squatting when they call 911 at somebody's house or whatever. Now I could maybe squat your house that it's your son needing to be picked up because he's being kidnapped or something.
Right.
Or just
or I could be like act like I'm your wife saying, hey, I need you to go pick up the kids and leave a voice message or send it as a text message. Right. Yeah, that gets tricky. Yeah.
So how do you think that's going to change how we do teach digital citizenship, digital responsibility, digital hygiene, all those things in the classroom?
It's going to be a lot. I was just thinking even the copyright aspect of that, which we haven't really talked about yet, but there's a lot of, at that conference I was just at, they had partnered with UELMA, I think sorry if I messed that up, but it was the Utah Library Association. So a lot of librarians were at this event and they were asking me the question, like, what is, where do we fit in this? But also where does, we're talking about digital literacy, talking about who owns what. So when you make the art, the AI art, who owns it? Now, those students that spend a lot of time doing those prompts and creating these beautiful pieces of art will tell you it's theirs. But if you look at the terms and user agreement, I think the company that actually made it actually owns the IP on it. So there's a whole, it's still so new. I don't have an answer. And I'm an AI expert. No, I'm not. Yes, I'm not an AI expert. But no, I think the other thing that people worry about is misinformation, which goes back to, politics.
I think it sounds so real.
I mean, the Biden thing happened since you and I have last had a recording, and that was in late January in New Hampshire, where they had that voice cloning system, which is the same one I actually use. Actually, it's called 11 Labs. That someone used 11 Labs to make a Biden, like a little short burst of him talking on the phone. Don't worry, don't come to the primaries. I guess in hopes of getting someone else on the ticket, or I don't know what the motivation was, but it did work. And there were people that didn't show because they thought it was real. So I worry about kids. I worry about our parents more than I do our kids, because it's already easy for them to fall for stuff like that. But again, that's a whole nother show.
And that's the thing that we're going to have to try to figure out. But I think one of the things that helps, hopefully, is having the conversation about it. Because unless you have the conversation about what needs to be talked about or what changes need to happen, then no one knows.
Right.
Everybody thinks somebody else already has thought about it.
Yeah.
And no one's thought about it. No one's thought about it. I mean, we worried about taking up kids' cell phones in classrooms, or in some cases blocking AI, because a lot of schools now have started blocking generative AI in schools, just to flat out generative AI tools. But the thing is, the kids have it on their cell phones, or they're going to use it outside of the classroom. And as we talked about before, those kids who get blocked from using it, is that putting them at a disadvantage now from some of their peers, where they have access to generative AI and are able to utilize it to create co-authored projects with that? I mean, what do you think is going to be the greatest impact of schools blocking that generative AI tools in schools?
Well, I mean, I think here's what it is. And I think what happens is that teachers feel like, and educators and leaders do the same thing. They feel like it's happening to us, like we don't have any control over it. And I've heard that a lot with AI. People are like, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. And I think saying that out loud sometimes makes them feel like, okay, well, I don't really want it to happen, so I'm going to block it or figure it out. But I think the truth is it is going to happen. I mean, and it is happening. And like you said, kids that have access to it are going to use it. So our job is to be like, have these conversations, create the guidelines, figure out where does it fit in the learning process. And so, and one of the examples I share in one of my talks is I say like, okay, so let's say you're doing the brainstorming phase of something. Maybe use AI for brainstorming, but the rest of it is just you. Or the very next assignment, say, okay, I'm not going to use it. You're going to brainstorm on your own, but you're going to have AI create some visuals to go along with whatever you're designing. Or on the next assignment, you're going to have AI help you with the editing. So using it in different parts of learning process versus just saying AI is going to do all my work for me. But we have to set up those structures, and they aren't set up yet because we're not even building the plane. We're designing the plane. We haven't even got to the building part of it yet, I think, when it comes to AI. So
plane? We're going, we don't need a plane. Instant transmission.
Yes. Doc Brown would be very impressed. We would have a flex capacitor. We should ask AI to design a flex capacitor and go back in time and see, what would happen. I don't know if we could change anything.
Like, dude, I saw this article and it was talking about how they were using AI and large language models to communicate with whales. And they were saying, because they know what certain sounds mean in male whales. And so being able to use large language models, they could communicate now possibly with whales, thinking that they could utilize this if they run across a foreign alien that has a whole different language by using AI. I mean, that's just like, this is so sci-fi when you think about it.
That's weird that you read I heard a podcast about something similar where they were dissecting the different tones and cadences of different insects, because there's certain things that pick up on frequencies that we don't pick up, but a computer could pick up because our ears can only pick up so much. And that was one of the things they talked about was killer whales communication. And they're saying they're getting to where they get to almost a translation where they can almost speak to it, make a sound back to it. So much so that they were joking that it was TED Radio Hour. And they're like, maybe in 5 years from now, we'll have a killer whale doing a TED Talk. And I was like, I kind of laughed. And I was like, but I mean, I guess, if you could have something translated for you, it could tell you, like, they're actually using it to save. There's a certain type of whale that was in the Northwest. And because it's the travels, I guess the sound travels on such a wave, they can pick up on it. These computers can pick up on it and then send an alert to all the ships in the area to say, like, avoid it because these are endangered species. And it's actually helping the population because it's figured out when they're mating. They have this, I don't know what a whale mating sounds like. And I don't want to try to extrapolate that on a podcast when I'm sitting right next to you, but it could be kind of interesting. Yeah. But I do think that there's some potential for that. And that's going to be kind of cool. We could all be Dr. Doolittle, right?
But
Eddie Murphy was ahead of his time.
That's the thing that we are hopefully preparing our students to be able to tackle, because we're talking about this stuff right now and it could happen. But we have kids right now in our middles and high schools who will be the people we're going to task to do this stuff.
Yep.
As we said before, we thought virtual reality and augmented reality were going to be the next thing.
Yep.
And literally AI came out of nowhere, nowhere, relatively speaking, and put into the hands of the common man.
Yep.
And that's something that has changed a lot over the past year. Now we're up to ChatGPT
4 and Turbo 4.5 is supposed to come out by June, which will get all the data from April of 24. So right now it's pulling data still from, I guess, September of 23 or 22, I think. So it's still pulling data from way back when. But the new data is going to have influence because it's going to be all the prompts that we put in it. And I know we bag on Elon a lot. And one of the things that he said last year, along with Zuckerberg and a few of the other guys, the billionaires, was like, we need to slow down. And of course, when I hear billionaires tell me to slow down, that tells me that they're worried that we're going to leapfrog them.
Yeah.
Because now, like you said, it's putting it in the hands of common man or woman, and that gives us an opportunity to use it in different ways that maybe they're worried about. Because now, if I want to make a website, I have AI do it. If I want to code something, I will say coding is an interesting one. People have asked me about that. Like, do you think coding is going to go away? I mean, what do you think? Do you think you don't need it anymore, or who's going to code? Who's going to code the AI? Is my question.
Yeah, I think the basic level will go away. Similar to when we think about how technology has changed the need for certain jobs. Like at one point, a booming business was scooping up horse crap because everybody had horse and carriage.
Yeah.
When we changed to the automobile, that whole line of business went away. They had to figure out something else to do.
Yep.
So I think as the AI evolves, some jobs, some positions, some things that we do or have done will go away.
Yeah.
Because that's just the natural attrition of workforces on how things change with technology. Now, does that mean that we won't need to learn how to do certain things? Like you and I were taught the Dewey Decimal System and card catalogs.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Will it come back?
My kids have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
They barely know what a book is.
They did. You know what's funny? They had do you see the Gen Z versus Gen X video where they had a door between two people?
Oh yeah.
And they're
I saw that.
show me hang up the phone, and the guy's like hanging up the phone, and the kid's like pressing a button. Yeah. Show me taking a picture, and the guy's going like this, and the kid's just going like that. It's like funny how visually we just do
we're still like click.
We're still doing click. Read a book was different. Like the Gen X guy opens a book, the kid's swiping. Yeah. Isn't that weird? Yeah.
So things change. Even one thing that I'll share real quick. I was laughing at my wife. This was several years ago. She had her iPad. She kept trying to find something, and she was like, doing all this searching. And then I was like, oh, silly. Just go down here and type in the search that you want to open, whatever.
Oh, looking for the apps. Yeah.
And then my daughter looked at both of us and laughed and said, hey, Siri, open up and it opened up that app. So the three of us had three different ways that we were deciding to do it.
See, the AI is listening. She heard you.
Yeah, the three of us had three different ways to do it. But, here's my kid laughing at me. She's like, why are you even touching it? Just tell us to do it. So it just goes to show you that things change. And sometimes we get stuck in our ways, wanting to do things the way we've done things. I had a principal at a school one time wanted me to order mice and for all of the Chromebooks, because she said the kids, they don't want to use the touchpad. They need a mouse. I'm like, no, you need a mouse. That sounds like Bill Cosby.
Oh wow, we went there.
Need a mouse.
Too soon.
Don't
put Bill Cosby. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I was going, and then I started reflecting on your whole idea of like the people that used to shovel up the horse crap, and I started thinking, what did those jobs evolve into? Well, I know some administrators. No, I'm just sorry, not really.
He said it.
Not really.
But the teachers, you can text him.
You can find me at Ask Adam 3. No, but there's probably some teachers on here listening. Go, yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. But well, buddy, it's good to see you again. It's good to be back. And we're just getting started with season 8. We're gonna have a few more. We have guests coming up, but opportunities landed me in Atlanta today, and I made the trek out here to Adam's house to visit with his lovely family. The kids are doing great. I haven't seen them in a while.
Yep.
Planning family vacations at some point down the road when he's all through this. But we'll see you.
Yeah, they're already planning the cruise.
They were. The kids like, when are we going on a cruise? I was like, all right, we got to work on it. The hookers and the files on a cruise. We could have some sort of t-shirts or something. Yeah, I could do that. Christine will do the t-shirts. She's crafty like that.
Yeah, file hooker.
Yeah, so was it like I'm getting ship faced? You've seen that one? Ship, I said. Ship. Yes, exactly. Well, we'll see you at ISTE then, yeah?
Oh, yeah, definitely. For everybody out there listening, the plan is to be ready for ISTE. So, as you know, going through the chemo and cancer treatments and everything. So, I'm laying low, kind of off the grid right now. Still follow me on social medias and all that stuff to keep up with my journey. But ISTE, I will be back in person and live. That is the plan. Looking forward to it. I think we got a session we're doing at ISTE, right?
I think we're supposed to be doing one at ISTE, at least one. And probably, if we can, maybe some versions of this podcast, too.
Yeah. Hopefully, after people come up to us on our Radio Row down there at ISTE Live and check us out and be a guest, kind of like we did at, where was that?
Oh, we have something else to debut at ISTE. I just remembered. That came in the mail for me the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So something at ISTE, you're gonna see something else, a different experience. I almost.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. This has been the UnDisrupted Podcast, brought to you by All for Ed. Of course, check out all the great resources at All for Ed at allfored.org. He's Adam, and you can follow him at AskAdam3.
And he's Carl, and the point actually works because they're right next to each other. He's Carl, and you can follow him at Mr. Hooker. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together.
We are better.
UnDisrupted.
Love you, buddy.
Out.
Welcome back.